To another episode of Mr. Allard's Neighborhood. This is the place where you're entitled to Brad's opinion. And now for your host, Brad Allard.
Well, as you can see, I'm not in my usual attire. I have the t-shirt on for the Amanda Mann Clark Project. Yes.
Looks great.
It does, doesn't it? And the hat, always like hats too. So we're going to talk about this project. It's a group designed to raise funds for colorectal cancer. We're going to talk to the ladies that operate this outfit and what they're doing and how they're going to have a big fundraiser. I believe at Martin's Tavern. Is that what I read? I'm trying to remember.
Martin House Brewing.
Okay, that's what I read this morning. Okay.
It's kind of a tavern.
Yeah, it's close enough. And we're going to talk about, diagnosis and how does one get an examination for this? What are the symptoms? How do they raise money? Why they're involved with all this? But first, let's just run through the sponsors because they make all this possible. I bet you ladies have been to our place before.
Yes, we have. Yum, yum.
Yes, and also that Gina's Pizza is going to be open up. Otto's got that working. I would bet before the end of the month it's going to be open. I was there about 2 weeks ago just to drive by and a little sponsor care, as they call it, and it's going to be a really nice place. It's reminiscent of what he grew up in Chicago. Just kind of like a joint, in the neighborhood that people around the neighborhood know about, and that's going to be great. But Otto is a great place to go, rather our place, and Otto has been a real community citizen. Also, our friends over at Wild Cigar. Y'all smoke cigars, ladies?
No, we don't, but it's happening more and more these days. I have friends that are in clubs.
Well, I went there about 3 weeks ago for a little sponsor care, and there was a group of 3 ladies, and they were just, having a big old stogie. And so it was, it's not like the old-fashioned, stereotype, I guess, about it. But it's also a very nice place. Also, Taylor, did you get that clip I sent, or that photo? Yeah, there is. They have an event going on this Saturday. They're going to have free coffee, donuts, and raffle drawings. And I didn't ask specifically, but I would bet a whole $1 of those donuts come from Doughboy because they're really good. He was on the show about 10 days ago, and he brought samples, and it's like, this is not good for my diabetes, but I don't care. I'll just shoot up a little extra.
You're talking to nurses, please.
Yeah, it's a little extra insulin. Well, who's going to know? But anyway, it was really, really good, of course. But anyway, they're going to give away some coffee and donuts, and you have a smoke and whatnot. The Final Four, the March Madness starts. Well, technically it starts tomorrow night, but it's going to get on full on Thursday, so they'll have the screens going for the various ball games. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Also, our friend Tiffany over at Local Life. You know Tiffany? You're shaking your head. Okay, good. I hear really great things about that pub crawl. And it was nice and drizzly day. It's perfect tonight. That's Irish weather. And so I was thinking, that's the perfect weather for a pub crawl for St. Patrick's Day. But it was very successful. I saw a lot of pictures on Facebook, and she really does really good events. She does another one for 4th of July that's very good as well. But the magazine is out, and she'll have the new one out in about 2 weeks, and you're good to go. Also, here's something that may interest y'all, Southern Gem Jewelers. You're shaking your head. Like, have y'all been there before?
I love Gayla.
Oh, you know Gayla, do you?
She does amazing work.
Well, my wife works there, so I know her well.
Nice.
Yeah. There's 2 Robins that work there. Mine is the other Robin, as they call her.
Other Robin.
Yeah, and they go in there and they have not just the displays and the inventory, but they do a lot of repair work. And what I always like, you can take your husbands there, park them over there, here, have a Dr. Pepper or a beer, watch the TV. I'm going to go look at all the inventory. And so
they have a husband sitting station.
Yes, they do. And I think that's pretty wise you don't have a husband going, tap, tap, it's time to go. No, I'm fine here, So it's, they have a little mini bar there, and it's just wonderful. But they got a May 4th event, Kentucky Derby. If Gayla's really big into horse racing and equestrian sports and things like that, and so they're going to have a big event. Well, that May 4th is going to be a big day. Besides that, it's also Election Day. It's also
it's also May the 4th be with you.
Yeah, and
which is Star Wars
very important.
Well, that's kind of what on the City on the Hill with Lisa Schwartz and the Crazy Eights. They're doing kind of that theme. And so, but you could do all 3 things, or they don't. You can vote, you can go to Crazy Eights, you can go to Gala's, all on the same day
in your Star Wars outfit.
Well,
Guess what Jessica will be doing.
Yeah, is that right?
I'll get the Leia buns out.
Are you really?
Oh, for real. I'm not kidding.
You're a big Star Wars fan.
She has the buns. I mean, the whole getup.
I have the
Oh
buns.
my! Oh well.
Hubby was Han Solo one year. It's a thing.
See, I'm old enough to remember when I saw the Star Wars when it came out in the theater, in the first one, or like the fourth episode or whatever. I remember when it comes up the screen and said episode 4, like, did I miss the other 3? And I was probably the only kid in North America did not know what Star Wars is about.
Really?
And some friends took me. And said, "Oh, okay, this is what everybody's talking about."
Yeah.
I was too busy studying, that
sure.
kind of stuff. I wasn't paying attention to that stuff. Anyway, on to the next stuff. Also, we have here 2 maids with Brenda Ramirez. What they'll do is they clean not just homes and apartments, but also businesses. They do clean the windmiller building, like Gayla's place and whatnot. And what they'll do is they'll come in, they do the job, and they get paid based on the rating you give them, as opposed to a set rate, X amount. So it's
Interesting.
Yeah, it works out well that way because not only are they people motivated, but you're going to be satisfied, and if not, they're going to make you satisfied. They'll they'll come back and do it again. But I've asked Brenda how often that happens. She said once, and they've been doing this in this area for over a couple of years. And she had some comments about that once. Anyway, 2maidscleaning.com/Burleson or 817-764-0733. And Old Pro Roofing. This is, old Burleson business, been around for about 20 years. 817-734-2756 will get you John Williams. They'll come check out your roof. Apparently, we missed a lot of the bad weather, but I had some friends up in the McKinney County area got hammered. And so if you know somebody up there, give John a call and he'll run up there. That's his area. They don't just do Burleson. They do almost the entire DFW area and beyond. So, wherever there's hail, there's John. Also, lastly, Camco with Sammy Campbell and Candy Gal. They're in the mortgage brokerage business. They work for various different brokerage. What were you mumbling over there?
That's Hillary's mom.
Yeah.
Candy. Hillary's a friend of ours and was an original board member as well of the Mann and Clark Foundation.
Talking in code over here. And my paranoia was getting up there. But anyway, no, Candy.
Hi, Candy.
Candy is as sweet as can be, and is no pun intended. I mean, she's just really a nice person. And, several of these people are in my BNI group, so I see them every week. And you just really get to know them as people, and you can trust them as not just in business, but just as friends. And it's a good thing to be able to recommend friends. I've done business with Sammy and Candy twice and other stops they've had. Now they're doing it for themselves. And it's great service, great people. Sammy's at 817-778-4592 and Candy's at 817-925-2661. And I could recommend them wholeheartedly if you're looking to refinance. I don't know what's going on with the rates, but they do. Also, there's an event coming up this Saturday that I bet Mary Slaney would be glad if I promoted just a little bit. It's some sort of it's a Shop Burleson Day. Did you get what I sent you on that one? Yeah, there it is. It's Boutique Hop. There's a lot of various businesses there, and a lot of these are maybe more for the ladies, but there is one I like to throw out there, Old Town Provisions. I don't know if y'all been there before, but it's got like a Western theme. It's for men, all right? And you go in there and they have, all the accessories. They have shirts. They have toiletries. They have all sorts of things that are kind of Western themed. And it's been there 2-3 times, and it's a it's a good place. Father's Day's coming up. I don't know, but anyway, okay. So it's named Amanda Mann Clark. This is a friend of y'all's.
Mm-hmm.
And here she is.
Isn't she beautiful?
Yes, she is. Is she a Burleson girl? Lady?
No. Actually, she was. She's from the Houston area.
Mm-hmm.
She came to the Fort Worth area for college. She graduated from UTA nursing program, and that's how Brittany and Alex and I met her. Was her first job was at a local hospital, and I was her preceptor.
Well, before we go too far, we're going to introduce who's here at the table. Sure. All right, okay. So let's just go around. You start, Jess.
Sure. Jessica Saucier. I am the Secretary-Treasurer for the Amanda Mann Clark Project, and I am from Burleson.
Mm-hmm. I'm Alex Strong. I am president of the Amanda Mann Clark Project, and I am originally from Albuquerque.
Albuquerque.
I don't really hail from Albuquerque, but I've been in Fort Worth since 1999.
Mm-hmm.
And I am Brittany Browning, and I am the Director of Community Outreach and Events for the Amanda Mann Clark Project.
How large is this organization?
Currently, there are 4 board members with volunteers that jump in when they can. But It's very small.
Right. Then as far as this young lady here, she passed away because of this disease.
Correct.
Okay. And she must have made quite an impression on you all to not just name the project after her, but to devote the much time that you are to the issue that caused this.
Yes.
Y'all nurses is what I'm gathering?
Yes.
We're all nurses.
Y'all all nurses, okay. Yeah, my mother is a nurse. She's retired now. But, that's interesting. So y'all nurses, she nurse also, right?
She was a nurse. Yep.
And so that's how y'all all met. We all working together or
Yes.
something?
Yes. Yes.
And she got ill.
So actually, we worked with her for many years, developed a strong friendship just amongst us all and some others in that nursing group, right? And stayed in touch. So when she moved back to Houston, we still stayed in touch. And it was in 2020, January-ish of 2020, that she started to experience some signs and symptoms of colorectal cancer. Of course, at the time, her being she was 34 at the time.
34.
Yeah, we never imagined that it would be, actual colorectal cancer. But unfortunately, when she went to get checked out, it was in March of 2020. And we all know what happened in March of 2020.
Oh, yes.
And all elective diagnostic procedures were basically put on pause. And so she wasn't diagnosed until July of 2020. And at that point, she had stage 4 colorectal cancer.
Had she been diagnosed earlier, would the outcome been different?
It was a very aggressive cancer, so we know that it was growing very quickly. And so if she had been diagnosed a few months earlier, we feel like it could have been caught at stage 3, which is a whole different ballgame. But we will never know.
Yeah, it's hard to say, but it's unbelievable how much COVID disrupted everything. Just to that point, I mean, it's like, pre-COVID and post-COVID, that's how almost people refer to things, But so what were the symptoms? I mean, I wouldn't know if I had some sort of, because there's a lot of cancers. I understand that you don't know you have until maybe it's too late.
So I can tell you about her symptoms, and then I'll let Alex tell you about the generalized symptoms that everyone needs to watch out for. Her symptoms were very vague. She had a baby in January of 2020, and so she had been complaining of constipation and back pain, but she was in her 3rd trimester. So, we were like, meh, it's normal, it's okay. And then by the time she actually started to have rectal bleeding, it was March of 2020, and she still had to wait until July.
I just wonder if we could have done better on that whole situation.
I know that in her case we could have. Yes.
Right. Well, there's so many things. I've heard this type of story before where COVID disrupted medical care, and it proved to be a real problem for a lot of people. So she had a child.
She had 2 children. She was her second child that she.
But this poor child will never know his mother. Her mother. Is it a boy or a girl?
The older one is a girl,
right.
And she was 4 when Amanda passed, and the younger is a boy, and he was 1.5. Their father keeps her memory alive as much as possible, so they'll have some associated memories for sure.
I hope so. Because I can't imagine losing your mother at such a young age. But so she started having bleeding and you said constipation and pain, and I guess.
And so those are really kind of vague symptoms until the rectal bleeding started. Once rectal bleeding starts, that's like very specific to, it could be hemorrhoids, right? But it's very specific to colorectal cancer signs and symptoms. And Alex, do you want to talk about a little bit more about what other symptoms people should be watching out for?
A little bit more about my background is I'm actually a family nurse practitioner. Amanda also was a nurse practitioner. And so I think one of the things that for me creates such a spark is that she really advocated for herself. She went to her providers and said, something's not right. This is not postpartum. This is not what's supposed to happen. And she just wasn't listened to. And then COVID happened. So I think that's kind of a piece that we are focusing on as well, is educating providers that, you need to listen to your patient.
Why would a provider ignore a medical professional like Amanda was? I mean, she's a certified nurse, right? And so we're not talking about some hypochondriac, I'm just, that kind of just amazes me a little bit that a fellow medical professional would say, it's the sniffles, whatever, some dismissive comment like that.
I think there are a lot of providers that look for the easiest answer, and her position, the easiest answer for her symptoms was postpartum, was hemorrhoids, constipation, your bowels are kind of getting back to normal. But when your patient says something is not right, you jump on that.
I think a lot of it too is insurance. The recommended age right now is 45. And so anytime a patient goes in to see a patient or to see a doctor and has maybe mild symptoms that you could say is technically maybe something else, or there's no family history. Like Amanda had no family history. She was extremely healthy. A lot of times insurance isn't going to cover that. And if it takes a lot for that doctor's office to have to push through to get insurance to cover it.
Yes, I've been through that a few times for myself and for my children. It's like, I don't want to get on insurance. It's a whole other conversation. But I would just think as a medical professional, if I were a doctor, I would make sure everything was looked at, because I would not want that weighing on me. They say, well, I dismissed somebody, and then it turns out to be pretty serious, and it caused her to pass away. I think that'd be hard to live with.
One additional caveat to this was that she was young. She was 34. And up until, and remember, this was in 2020. So up until very recently, colorectal cancer was thought to be an older person's disease, not a young person's disease. And so never in people's wildest dreams would they even think of colorectal cancer first in a 34-year-old, right? And so that's one of our goals, and that's one of the things that Amanda said she wanted to spread awareness about before she died, was that this can happen to young people too.
Yep.
Well, see, I've been, unfortunately, I've been to 2 or 3 funerals of former students that died of cancer in their 20s. So, I can't imagine just, well, it's some old people get, because, they say the same thing about, diabetes or whatever else. And I know a lot of young people with it, or I've gotten to know a lot of the young people with it because of my diabetes and whatnot. But anyway, go ahead.
So symptoms, obviously, we covered rectal bleeding. You're not supposed to bleed from your rectum, period. Not ever. Not even one time. It's not okay.
Well, I don't want to be too graphic, but was it like pretty profuse, or is this like a trace, or what?
As a nurse practitioner, I would say any bleeding. Period.
Okay.
It can be on the toilet paper. It can be in the bowl, on the stool itself. Not to be too graphic, but anytime someone says I had blood, I'm like, huge red flag goes
blood
up.
in your stool of some sort.
Because yes, it could be hemorrhoids, but it could be something else. So it's always worth investigating. Other things that I think too for younger adults, individuals that, we do kind of dismiss as symptoms are changes in bowel. So if you all of a sudden start having a lot of constipation, like Amanda, like you're not passing bowel movements every day, or they're really hard or uncomfortable, the changes, or like pencil thin, if they're kind of like, spaghetti, if you will. If they're not a soft form brown log like you were taught in elementary school, something's going on. For sure. Or changes in consistency, like we talked about, if it oscillates between constipation and diarrhea, those are symptoms to be looked into. And then abdominal cramping and pain. I mean, for females, it's a little different because we have additional organs that we kind of have to think about as well.
Right.
But if you're having severe bloating, if you're having a lot of cramping or discomfort with bowel movements, that shouldn't be happening. Some other kind of side symptoms are extreme fatigue, anemia. If you get your labs drawn and your blood count's really low, we need to figure out where the blood's going, right? Because sometimes it's not always obvious blood in the stool. Sometimes it's actually hidden in the stool and we're losing blood that way. So,
it's I know a couple other people that have irritable bowel syndrome. It sounds like you're describing that a little bit, IBS. And I just thinking that may be a go-to for doctors.
It is.
And
it is.
As opposed to something more serious and more involving than what we're talking about here. Yeah. I mean, anytime you say the word cancer, I mean, you're talking about, that's a very involving treatment. It's not like you just hand them, a prescription and go fill it at the drugstore.
I think what's hard too is, having practiced for a while, IBS is a diagnosis of exclusion. It's when we're like, well, we don't really know what it is, so we're just going to call it this and hope for the best. And there's supplements and medications we can give patients that can make it better. But sometimes that's just very much a mask for what's actually going on. And that's where it gets a little...
Well, how does one get, not just diagnosed, but examined? That's the word I'm looking for. How does one get examined for this? I mean, is it similar to like a prostate examination for men?
No, not as much. So if a patient were to come in to me, I would go through all of their symptoms, their history, how long it had been going on, what makes things better, what makes things worse. Family history is really important. Dietary, any other medication, supplements, anything else going on in the past. And at that point, my gold standard is a colonoscopy. And so at that point, I would take a full, health and physical. You can do a very kind of brief rectal exam, but that's not going to get anywhere close to where we need to be looking, right? So a referral to a GI or gastroenterologist would be the next step.
I had a colonoscopy about 3 years ago.
Good for you.
Yeah, I was persuaded by my wife, because it wasn't so much the procedure; it was the pre-procedure, drinking that stuff and all that, and it actually really wasn't so bad. For some people, I hear these horror stories about that the preparation you have to drink, but it wasn't so bad.
Now the preparation has gotten a lot better over the years. It used to be kind of grueling.
It
and
was.
it's not
just pills now.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
So I had to drink this, and it wasn't bad tasting, but it wasn't something I'd go to. But I also had to get up at 2:30. I didn't like that at all. I'm not a morning
But the
person.
procedure is like the best nap you'll ever have.
Yes, that's right.
Sure,
Yeah,
sure.
that's right. And I'll go there, and it always kind of makes me nervous when I go to Hughley because almost invariably one of the nurses says, "Oh, my son had your class," that kind of thing, and it's like. I hope he passed. Oh, yeah, you did fine. Oh, thank God, No, you failed him. You had to go to summer school. Good luck on this, No, but I remember going, and it was, I was just sitting there lying on the table. Said, these drugs aren't taking up.
for sure.
And good night.
Next thing I know, I'm in the recovery room. But and thank goodness I was diagnosed as clean. But that's the best way to do it. It's not like other ways to do it.
There are a couple other testing modalities. One is a fit test. And so you basically will have a bowel movement. You take a little spatula and smear some stool on a card, send it in, and they'll test it for what we call occult blood, which means that the blood is hidden. Now, not all cancers bleed. So not a real reliable test. There's a new one out. I say new. It's probably been around for, 6-7 years, called Cologuard, which is great, but it's not to be used for diagnostic. It's really more of a kind of placeholder for preventative for people who really don't want to get a colonoscopy, or for people, say, like they're on Coumadin or warfarin and they have a bleeding issue and it's really difficult to get them in for a colonoscopy.
Well, my general practitioner gave me, for lack of a better word, some little sticks to use as for good stool samples, and put them in a package and mail them in and all this other stuff, and and that was a good, temporary fix, I guess, but nothing beats a colonoscopy.
Correct.
And and I was a big baby about it because, again, I didn't want to spend like 24 hours in the men's room, so to speak, and that kind of thing. But I'm glad I did it. I'm sure I'll be doing it again within the next 3 or 4 years because I'm 61, soon to be 62, and they say you need to do it every 5 years. Is that right?
If you've been clean, then usually the recommendation's about every 5. If they find any polyps, then it depends on what type of polyps they find, and that's the recommendation of the GI.
Yeah. And apparently the doctor I had, I forget his name because it wasn't my regular doctor. He must have been doing great business because I walked in there and that room was filled. And apparently it took like 3 or 4 months. And that's another issue, is just trying to get those things scheduled.
Brittany, do you want to touch on kind of the waiting time and what we've seen in the last couple years?
The waiting time? Like how long it takes to get in?
we had talked about, we had talked about earlier kind of how we as an organization can try and help that. Just because when they did lower the age for screening to 45, there was fortunately a very massive influx of people who wanted to get screened, which is fantastic. But it has put a significant lead time on people's ability to get screened. Therefore, also putting lead time on people who need diagnostic testing. I think there was a conference that we went to about a couple of years ago, and they said the lead time in Houston in general was 9 months.
Well,
that's a long time.
It took me about 5 months to not just to get into the doctor and then get referred to the colonoscopy doctor, gastrointestinal doctor, and then we scheduled it took about another 2 months. So my whole lead time was about 4 months, and apparently that 4 months made a big difference for your friend.
It did.
Because if that 4 months had been more immediate, maybe the outcome would have been different.
My last experience with my colonoscopy was, I think, 2 years ago. And I didn't have to wait that long, thankfully.
I didn't either.
So I think that wait times must be much better. However, for uninsured or underinsured, there's still, an issue. Because how are they going to afford?
Exactly. That's another issue entirely. And I guess that's the purpose of of your group is try to raise funds. Well, in the last half, I like to talk about your fundraiser event and how you raise funds. But the money that y'all raise, is it for awareness or is it for particular patients?
So our mission statement is awareness, support, clinical research, and oh gosh, what's our fourth? And for preventative screenings, yeah. So the answer is yes.
To all of that?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes to all of that. But primarily, we like to financially support organizations that Amanda was passionate about, or we feel like she would be passionate about, that meet our mission statement.
Well, I'm just thinking also, you mentioned about the affordability of this. There's a lot of people underinsured or not insured. You know, maybe Medicare might take care of this for older folks and Medicaid for those, but there's that big gray area of people that are underinsured.
Yes.
Or have such high deductibles that they just said, I've just got the cramps or whatever. I got, just hemorrhoids or whatever. And it turns out to be more serious because they delay getting treated because of insurance rates, like you mentioned a minute ago. So,
Right.
Frustrating.
Yeah, and a lot of times deductibles are extremely high. So if you have a $5,000 deductible, you're going to be paying out of pocket.
Yes. Yes.
And we have donated to it's not a foundation, it's a program.
At Hughley
We do
for
donate to that
colorectal cancer.
for those who can't afford colonoscopies.
So most of y'all's activities take place through Hughley?
No,
Okay, then
Not
where?
primarily.
I just happen to work there.
I just happen to work there. Okay.
She knows people.
No, all right. Well, I've been there 2-3 times. I've been in the emergency room a couple of times for other things, kidney stones, which
I'm so sorry.
Yes, and
Ouchie.
yeah, that kind of thing. But the point is that a lot of people need this, but they're not going to be able to get it based on our current system. And I'm not a big advocate for like what Britain does or Canada does, but there's got to be some answers to these problems without having to adapt those kind of policies that they have.
Because what we found out, and we already knew, but Amanda reinforced this information to us, that it's one of the most expensive cancers to treat.
Really?
Very, very expensive to treat. And if we can get the more preventative, like catch it sooner, then our insurance companies, our general Medicare, Medicaid won't have to spend as much on one person. They can spend that much on more people getting preventative care.
There's a statistic too that in 2030, colorectal cancer will be the leading cancer for patients 50 and below.
Really?
Yep.
Why?
We don't know yet. There's theories.
There's theories that it's a diet.
Yeah.
What's the word I'm thinking of?
Is it the environment or something like that, or the
All of
I think
environment?
it's the processed foods, things like that we're eating.
If you think about the generation growing up in the 80s and 90s, we lived on Lunchables.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah.
Sodas, Diet Cokes, Diet everything, Snackwells, just all the processed foods. It really does destroy your gut.
There was also an increase in the use of plastics, in the 80s and 90s.
GMOs,
Plastic became
everything.
cheaper. So that might be a component. We really don't know.
That's interesting. One thing I have the time now is I do a whole lot more cooking at home and stuff, so I don't eat nearly as much processed food. But not everybody has that luxury, right? Because a lot of working people, they come home and then you just get something that to go or something like that, or particularly if you're a single parent, it's tough. But as far as treatment, what is the treatment for this?
Depends on which stage.
Well,
Yeah.
okay.
Depends on what stage and
See, I have a friend that's going through a different type of cancer right now. We go to the same Sunday school class, and she's going through chemo and all this other stuff, and it's rugged.
Yes.
You know.
Do you guys want to talk about stage 3 versus stage 4?
Sure.
Okay.
So stage 4 is basically when the cancer's metastasized to other organs, right? And that's a whole different ball game than when it's localized at stage 3, right?
Right.
So the treatment's different.
Usually it goes to liver.
Typically with colon cancer, liver is most common the organ that is next affected, which is extremely vascular, and cancer loves the liver.
Well, but my friend has a different type, but she's going through treatments, and it's like 1 week on, 3 weeks off, and it just that week on and the week after are pretty brutal.
So Amanda had several rounds of chemo, and very brutal, very brutal. And then she also had her liver resected, which they took out some of her liver because of the cancer there. They really were very aggressive with treating her condition because she was 34 years old, and they wanted to, give her more time. But unfortunately, that it didn't work out well for her.
I have another friend who's a recovered cancer patient. She went to Hughley, and she went to that cancer center. And what our Sunday school class does is we provide snacks for the crew there, the patients and the staff. And because she was so happy with the treatment she got, and also that she was diagnosed as clear eventually, but boy, it was rough. I mean, she was probably 2 years in recovery. And it was just it's the recovery is almost as tough as the cancer itself.
I remember Amanda, she had this bag that she would take to chemo, like snacks and reading material. And she said that anytime she had to put that bag away during her off times, because anytime she saw it, she just got so nauseated. And just like felt like she was, undergoing chemo again. So it really is brutal.
This chemo, is it the IV or is it pills?
It's a IV. She had a port
okay,
placed.
And are there other ways of doing it as well, like radiation and things of that nature?
You can radiate if it's more localized, right, in one area. And it wouldn't have worked really for her because she had it not only in her liver but her lungs.
Holy moly!
And I think I think that she had a small. Her last scan showed some activity in the brain as well.
Well, that's the nature of it. I mean, they don't call cancer they call it the emperor of all maladies or whatever, because it's just so consuming, and it seems like there's so many stories we're hearing like this. I just wonder if it's our environment and our diet and everything else that's causing it, or is it just something that we are more aware of than we were maybe 50 years ago?
It could be all of those things.
Yeah. So well, as far as how y'all spread awareness, and you have this event coming up. Taylor, do you have that, not the picture, no, there we go, the cornhole event. Okay, and you have here at April 28th, 1 to 5 at the Martin House Brewing. Where exactly is Martin House Brewing?
It's in East Fort Worth, right across from what's the big golf?
Top Golf. It's right across the river from Top Golf. So
Okay,
it's
so
Sylvania and and 121. So
I
super
know that
close.
area. Yes.
It's beautiful. It backs up to the river. It's dog friendly, kid friendly. So it's a really fun place to hold.
And this picture
an
here
event.
is the stage. This is actually their outdoor area, so it's really pretty and colorful. It's outdoors. There is a roof, so in case it were to rain, we'll all still be covered.
I noticed the butt sketch artist.
Yes.
Well, that ought to be an interesting
So-
profession.
It is free to everybody, and it's a 2-minute charcoal sketch. So you just kind of pose with your loved one or yourself, and the artist does a quick sketch and rolls it up, and you get to take it home.
I actually saw a butt sketch in the front area of this building.
Really?
Yeah. It's with Jonathan and his team.
Oh, nice.
So it's fully clothed.
Okay, I didn't want to ask that, but I was
fully
wondering. I thought, wow, that's brave.
Here, I'm going to send one, see if he can pop it up
Okay.
there. But you got to remember that this was founded by all nurses, and nurses do not have a problem talking about poop or butts.
Oh, apparently,
or
I just
anything.
listened to y'all talk here. Like, look at you.
Zero
we were
Look at
being
the
good
stool.
for you.
Okay. Yeah.
We were keeping it clean.
Okay. You got DJ, TJ, you got prizes, you got fabulous drinks, $100 per team. So how big is a team?
2 people.
You know, it's interesting because my brother-in-law is big into cornhole. He builds cornhole boards and stuff like that. And, they use this as fundraisers. They live in Corsicana, and he'll build something and, donate it for a fundraiser or something like that. And they're very nice, but he's big into that. So this cornhole tournament, $100 per team. Right? Have you already started taking signups?
We have, yeah. We also have sponsorship opportunities as well. So there's 3 different levels of sponsorship.
I think we have another.
There's
This is
us.
There's the butt sketch.
That's a butt sketch. So they're
So
cute.
on the far right
That's
is
me.
Alex, and then Amanda Hermish, who is our social media director. That's me, and then Brittany with the little horns.
Little bow horns. What was it? Was just a bow?
I think I
maybe?
had been at the photo booth that we had, and I just ran over
Yeah.
to and jumped in the
Okay.
picture.
Taylor, do you have the other logo we had? I believe that shows.
Sponsorship.
Yeah, sponsorships. I believe we have that one.
Here we are.
Okay, so y'all tell us about the sponsorships.
So the top one is called Badonkadonk because we have to just have
Saw that,
fun
yeah.
with all the names.
Yeah, I
right?
saw that too, and I thought, okay, I'm getting this theme here.
So you get a team of 2 people, and then we provide meals for you, 3 beers each of whatever Martin House beer that you prefer. A T-shirt for each team member. You get your logo on the T-shirt. You get recognition on our social media, on our website, at the day of the event, and then you also get a cornhole set for each team member to take home with cornhole bags that have our logo embroidered on them.
How much is this particular sponsorship?
That one is $1,500, and then Rump Shakers is $1,000.
Good
That's a
heavens.
team of 2. You still get a meal. You get 3 beers each. You get T-shirts. You get your logo on the T-shirt. Same recognition on the website, social media at the event, and then you get 1 set of cornhole boards to take home. And then Cutie Patootie is $500. Where you get a
Patootie.
team of 2. You get meals. You get 2 beers each. A T-shirt. Your logo on the T-shirt, and then Sweet Cheeks are the teams. So you get a team of 2.
Who came up with these names?
I did.
You did? Okay.
I
Well,
had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, I bet you did. Well, and I'm sure some others that didn't quite make the cut, but
Right.
maybe a little bit too far over to
Right.
it. Yeah.
I have to
Stay
be careful with
G-rated.
some of them.
Yeah, gotta keep it PG,
We
But 'cause
also
it's a
have,
family
we're going to
event.
have trophies. They're just
They're
one of
amazing.
a kind, beautiful trophies
Are they-
for first, second, and third place.
Are they, shall we say, posterior related type
They
trophies?
are.
Okay.
They might be, yeah.
Okay.
You definitely want it front and center on your mantle.
yeah.
Put that right there.
It's a good
for,
conversation starter.
Yeah,
Yes.
but it is. Look, Mom, I won a trophy finally. And that kind of thing.
Right.
Well, I can get the cornhole idea, but how did Martin? How did they get involved with this? Martin's did.
Actually, it was just Alex and I went by to look at it. We were looking at venues that we could have just an outdoor tournament, and we just fell in love with their outdoor space, and they have been incredible to work with.
Yeah, they've been great.
Really? Well, what's the maximum number of teams you can have?
Right now, we have 15. We could probably go as high as we needed to.
Okay, so
It's a pretty large outdoor space.
so if you had like 40 or 50 teams,
Oh, yeah,
you'd-
absolutely.
you'd be
The
all
more the
over that.
merrier. It'd be
Yeah.
fun.
We might
I
need
just need to
call
get
your-
some more cornhole boards.
That's what I was saying. We might need to call your person with about cornhole boards.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can do it.
Well, that'd be great, And obviously, this is more than just a Burleson related.
For sure.
Yes.
I mean, what's your area that y'all deal with mostly?
Gosh, Fort Worth.
So for now, we're doing kind of the Tarrant Johnson County area, just because our bandwidth, that's all that we can really deal with at this point in time, and because this is the area that she spent so much time in after graduating and starting her nursing career, and we feel strongly that she would be okay with that. Now, as we get bigger, who knows?
We do have a board member in Kansas City also, so we do try to look out for things that we can be a part of up there.
Well, one day this may be a nationwide group.
That's the goal.
That's the goal, huh?
We want everybody to know about Amanda. and her
Really?
story.
Well, that really is a touching story, though. Really, it's tragic, that somebody so young, but if it does help spread awareness on, at least there'll be something positive comes out of this. But it's hard to say for the family.
And it makes us feel like we're doing what she would want us to do, because one of the last things that she talked about was she just wanted everybody to know that young people can get this disease and what the signs and symptoms are, and she wasn't able to carry that message, but we can do it for her, and it makes us feel like we're honoring her memory.
She's a very, very, very strong woman, even stronger through her treatment. But she's very headstrong, and I think carrying on her legacy is definitely honoring her.
Are there other ways that people can contribute to your organization? Do you have a website?
We do.
We
Okay.
do. It is current, but we'll have a new one that we're launching, hopefully, knock on wood, next week, which will be really exciting. So a little bit more user friendly. But you can donate through the website. It has a PayPal link on there. And we are 501c. I think
Well, you're
503c1. We're nonprofit,
Right.
completely nonprofit. So whatever the numbers
Yeah,
are, the
whatever
tax people
tax
give you, the tax
And we
people.
can get you the letter.
Yes, we can. So anything that you donate, it can be written off. We'll provide a letter through email for
And
that.
if you look in that
decide.
little star, it says, the contact information, but our website is that amcproject:/.org, where what you see after Brittany's name
Right.
in the email contact.
And the phone number here,
That
817-909-7986. Is that
Yep.
the working phone
that
number for
comes
you?
to me. So any donations or anyone that wants to be a sponsor,
or prank calls.
Prank calls, yeah, really.
only if they're poop related.
And poop related, oh my, that'd be pretty crappy, I'm sorry, I've been waiting. I've been
Nice.
waiting. Right, 'cause-
Very nice.
He's on top.
well, yeah, that's why he gets the big money. But anyway, but it's
What?
yeah, it's like, well, where's this
Big
money?
monies.
Yeah, but that's what y'all hope to raise. Do you have a goal? I mean, do you have a figure in mind?
We're still pretty new. This is the start of our third year. So honestly, the big events that we do, this will be our second cornhole tournament. We've had a bingo tournament and a few other things to raise funds. But honestly, it's just if we can get people together to have fun, to hear Amanda's story, or to learn signs and symptoms, any way we can bring awareness, as long as we were to break even, and probably if even not, then I think we would be okay with it. Now, obviously, the more money we raise, the
Oh,
better,
absolutely,
because we
yeah.
can use it in good ways. But even if it's just a fun event for people to come out and just hear about Amanda and cancer awareness, then I think we've done our job.
Do y'all apply for grants and things of that nature?
That's kind of part of our next phase.
Yeah.
Is to start applying
We
for
did.
grants.
So we did apply for one through United Way,
Oh, that's right.
and they did sponsor our tournament. And then the plan is to be applying for another one through them, and we are looking for others.
Well, this sounds like, this, you said been around about 3 years. It takes a long time to get these things going. I've been talking to these nonprofits now. I've said this numerous times to the point of redundancy, how fortunate I am. I get to sit here and talk to people like y'all who do all these great things. And there's a lot of people in this area that do that. But it is a daily thing. It's like fundraising is never ending.
Yeah.
I talked to the people at Harvest House, and I talked to the people over at Next Step Women's Center and things of that nature. And it's like, that's what they signed up for. So, next September, it's not next year, but next September, National Giving Day, you got to come back here because last time we
be great.
had all the nonprofits on here, they had like 10-minute intervals thinking, hey, here's what we're doing these days. And then,
That would be awesome.
yeah, so be sure to, keep us in mind on that date. I don't know, it's late September.
Yeah.
But
Get you down.
yeah, and what was really interesting is that after that show, we recorded another one to play later, and it was just the ladies talking amongst themselves. They sat on that couch and some chairs, and they just passed the mic around and talked about what it's like to run nonprofits, and the stresses that come with that, but the rewards that come from that as well. I guess y'all are seeing it.
Absolutely.
And as this gets bigger, you're going to probably start having these testimonials that this group saved my life.
We've actually already had I
Really?
think one or two come through our website and Facebook of just saying, hey, just want to let you know I got my colonoscopy just based on what you guys were talking about, and I realized I had some symptoms, everything's clear, but if it hadn't been for y'all, I probably would have just ignored it. So we're starting to get that trickling in, which is really, really it's so cool. It really is.
No, it's jewels in your crown, because when there's going to be a time to say, well, I didn't think I needed it. I just thought it was just, stomach issues, whatever else. And I found out that I had something. And because y'all maybe put that in their mind to go ahead and just bite the bullet and do
Not
it.
to ignore it.
Men are probably the worst patients,
Yeah,
though, as you
they
know.
are.
Yeah, as y'all noticed.
You might be right.
And, it's like, oh,
bless
well,
y'all's
fine.
hearts.
Yeah, I know. Well,
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's either men or nurses,
Yeah.
honestly.
Well, it's like teachers are the worst students, I mean, they're the worst audience. I've been to all these seminars, and teachers are like, gosh, y'all are rude, But nurses and doctors, like, they're the last to get treated because they've seen it all before, and it's here, take a Tylenol, and there you go,
They've seen worse.
Yeah, right. But
Always.
Yeah.
do you have any other fundraisers in mind?
We do. On June 7th, we will also be the charity spotlight for the Cleburne Railroaders
Ah, yes.
for baseball.
Yeah.
That's a great organization. I've been to
We're
some of their
excited.
games, and it's it's good. I'm a big baseball guy anyway. It's good baseball, and it's affordable.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
We should come out.
yeah, okay.
They're going to have fireworks that night, so great for the kids. I think, is Amanda going to throw out the first pitch? Maybe.
Possibly. Our other board member,
okay,
Amanda Hermer.
Different Amanda. We have two
Different
Amandas.
All right.
Different Amanda.
She may be coming in from Kansas City. We've talked about maybe having Amanda Mann Clark's dad or her daughter or someone, but we'll have someone special out there to throw the first pitch. And then we'll have a table set up with some of our merchandise and, of course, all kinds of information that people need for awareness.
Well, when the time gets close, send me the material and Taylor will pop it up like who does this. I mean, we do this for
you.
nonprofits. This is nonprofit season. I mean, we got Next Step has got Walk for Life coming up, and I mentioned Crazy Eights already, and then there's all sorts of things. That's just
We've got the Light Up the Night for autism
That was Center for Autism. Yes.
on April
6th. Yes. And they were on just last week.
There it is.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't get to watch it, but I saw.
Well, it's some people, have busy lives,
Some people do.
Yeah, I know. It's all right. But I'm really glad y'all do what you do because, like I mentioned, men are very reluctant to do this, and they really need to be like, just do this and quit being such a baby about it, like I was,
Yeah.
So I'm glad to hear that their process is better.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest deterrents that I hear is just like what you had touched on. You're like, I just don't want to drink the jug of medicine and be up all night. And it really, the process has gotten a lot easier.
Yes, it has.
A lot more manageable.
It really wasn't as bad as I was thinking it was going to be. I was thinking like it was an all-night session, but really just like, no, not particularly. Besides, when you're an old man, you're used to getting up 3 or 4 times a night, so it's no big deal. So, but as far as a return trip, I'd like to see y'all again if it works.
We'd love
Would
that.
love to.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
I don't know when it'd be best for y'all.
Anytime. You just let us know.
we
We'll
might
be
send
here.
just 1 or 2 of us, but we'll be here.
Well, that's fine. Summertime is a good time because a lot of my regulars are on vacation or, so I got more space. And right now with nonprofit season and election season, I'm pretty booked until early May. And after that, it's a bit more loose.
Oh, should we come on before the June 7th?
Yes, sure.
Okay.
That'd be
That sounds
great.
good.
Yeah, that'd be great because
And then we can remind you that's coming up and to go.
And then hopefully we'll have another event following that we can promote then.
we're getting close on time, but to do this and have families and have jobs. I mean, your day's pretty full, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
Some days. I don't know if I have that kind of energy to do that.
This is very passionate
Very
work
rewarding.
for all of us. And we absolutely loved and adored Amanda. So it's important.
She's like a little sister.
Well, and not just that, but that there are people out there that are being helped and will be helped.
Absolutely.
Well, the floor is y'all's. We've got 5 minutes left. Y'all tell us what we all need to know. Just to kind of summarize what
I
the show
think
is.
just pay attention to your body. Don't dismiss what you're feeling, what you're going through, and then find a provider that'll listen to you, someone that hears you, and will also advocate for you. I think which sometimes can be hard to do, but it is important to try and get the testing done if you need it. And then obviously I think something we didn't really touch on is preventative, is, making sure you have enough fiber in your diet.
You sound like my wife.
I know, right? Fiber,
Don't you roll
fresh,
your eyes at Robin. She's a sweetheart.
fresh fruits and vegetables, minimizing alcohol, no tobacco use, the foundations
Take away
of
all
health.
the fun stuff, don't we?
Just minimize. She didn't say cut it out. She said minimize.
I don't smoke, so I got you there. So,
Yeah.
but other than that, oh my goodness, that's close to home.
I think too, paying attention to family history. Ask your family, ask your parents if they're still around, or aunts and uncles. Is there anything that I need to be aware of? There are a lot of families that don't talk about health. They don't talk about their medical history, and I think that's really important.
I got a tip that your listeners might like.
What is that?
So when you do the prep, go ahead and get some Vaseline or some butt cream, like diaper cream.
Diaper ointment.
And prep your backside with it because you'll be having a lot of bowel movements, and it will help.
Highly protective.
It will help to not make that area excoriated.
As angry.
Sore.
Yeah, sore. That's another word for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a really great tip, though.
You nurses are very frank, aren't you? You know.
Really,
Don't beat around the bush.
Actually, we're going easy on you.
I know.
We
I
really
appreciate it there, and my listeners thank you as well. Well, Taylor, thanks for your nimble use of the keyboard. And tomorrow I have another nonprofit. This is a really interesting group called Meatmeisters. Now, what they do is they will provide the barbecue services and the meat for your nonprofit events. Yes, yes, and
Interesting.
yes, it is.
Interesting.
And they have their fundraiser now around Easter. They make these. It was $40 last year, maybe a little higher because meat's gone up, but these baked hams, these barbecued hams, and they are great. And I've had them the last 2 years for Easter. I take them to my mother's, and she told me just last week, either you or the ham show up, but if all you can't make it, send the ham. And so thanks, Mom. But no, it's really, really good. And it's if you ever had like a fundraiser here in this general area, it doesn't have to be in Burleson specifically, but if you had like a fundraiser and you wanted to provide food, Meatmeisters is a great group to latch on to.
I will get in touch with him.
His name is Brian Roberts, and he'll be here tomorrow. And then Thursday, I have a political candidate, Steve McAnally, who's running for city council here in Burleson. Do y'all live in Burleson?
I do.
Okay.
I used to.
Okay, he's doing but he's going to be running for a spot on the city council, so we'll be talking to him. That'll be very informative. But I really appreciate what y'all do, and hope that this event goes off just fantastic.
Well, thank you so much for having us.
No, I really learned a lot. You know, I learned that not to be such a wimp about getting.
It's okay to talk about poop.
It's okay to talk about poop. It sounds like, have a conversation I have with my 4-year-old.
Exactly. 4-year-olds get it.
All right. All righty. I'll talk to y'all later, guys, and we'll see y'all tomorrow.
Thanks for
Thanks so
having us.
much.
Sure.